Hello, good morning. It's a Wednesday live from a beautiful little cabin in Idlewild. It's this really adorable mountain town that I love near my hometown, and I'm spending the week here with my husband, just being in nature, unplugging, and getting really, really close with my own intuition as I am here in nature. I absolutely love it. And today I have an incredible question from a Become Emboldened student, which is actually really similar to the question that I answered last week. So it's so cool how so many people are asking this and really getting to other stages of their alcohol free journey. So basically, the question I got today was, how do you measure happiness? And the question I got was prompted by one time me saying that I'm one of the happiest people I know. And this question asks, like, I went alcohol free, I took a break, and I was so happy my first few weeks. And that's really, really typical because as you take a break from alcohol, your brain chemistry rebalances. And so when alcohol is completely unrooting the natural balance we have of our brain chemistry, it actually results in more apathy, feeling low, and feeling anxious and even depressed. So, alcohol increases all of our stress hormones and it decreases our happiness neurotransmitters. So, it's really typical by week 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, everyone's kind of different, to start to feel really happy again. And also, some of that not only comes from your brain rebalancing, but also the fact that you are experiencing something for the very first time. You're waking up every day not hungover, you're waking up every day with energy, you're waking up every day just feeling amazing and alive, and you start to see things differently. You start to see the trees differently and the clouds around you differently, and you start to feel this newness about you and this sense of possibility. And that shocking newness eventually, obviously, has to wane, right? We can't wake up every single day feeling like we're on the top of the sky because the newness of it becomes familiar. So waking up feeling amazing starts to become the new normal. Waking up, not feeling sick or having our neurochemistry completely unbalanced from alcohol starts to become the new normal. So, this phase of having this intense euphoria, this intense happiness, is actually called the pink cloud in the alcohol free community. And the pink cloud is that, like just this intense feeling of just pure happiness and good moods. And that naturally wanes a little bit. It naturally wanes a little bit because the unfamiliar has now become familiar to you, and your brain kind of settles into a new normal of like an elevated happiness, but maybe not that peak high of the pink cloud. And I remember experiencing this pretty acutely, so I was really, really ecstatic to be alcohol free. I mean, that's when I named my brand Euphoric. That's when I just really dived into the happiness of being alcohol free. And around month maybe 6, 7, 8, I kind of started feeling it wane, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, like I guess it's not going to be like this forever. And I started feeling it wane. And I kind of almost lost a little of excitement at that time period until I stumbled on a completely new definition of happiness and a new way of moving forward with my life. And this new definition of happiness now to me has nothing to do even necessarily with just the newness of being alcohol free or even the fact that I'm alcohol free. I always have gratitude for that all the time, every single day, because that is the initial transformation that led to everything else in my life. But what I recognized was that we are happiest when we are growing. We are happiest as humans when we are growing. It is one of our most basic fundamental needs to grow in our lives. Everything in the known universe is either growing or dying, right? Like trees are either growing or dying, stars are either expanding or collapsing. And so are we. And we often go to school and we go to college and we get jobs and then we hit these plateaus in our lives where we're not really learning anything new, we're not really actively growing ourselves, we're not really pursuing new passions or projects, we kind of just plateau. And so focusing on my growth is what literally transformed me from just being excited about the fact that I'm not hungover anymore to want to continue this journey. And the growth isn't just for growth's sake, because when you grow yourself personally, you grow in your level of happiness, you grow in your level of success, you grow in your level of abundance, even attracting more wealth into your life. You grow in your sense of love. You grow in ways that isn't just like, okay, I'm growing, I'm learning new stuff, I'm putting myself out there, I'm getting out of my comfort zone. You actually start attracting more of those good feelings into your life. And so for me, what does growing look like? Well, for one, I actually had to start to recognize what did I really want with my life and what did I really want to do. And I recognized I wasn't fulfilled in my past career, and I really, really wanted to help people. I really, really, really wanted to step into like my natural, most authentic, expressed version of me, which is a teacher and a coach. And I wasn't doing that in my previous job. And so I had to pick up the reins of this new career. And I had to completely change everything I ever knew and learn something completely new. Not only did I have to learn how to become a coach, I had to learn how to, teach concepts effectively, learn a lot of concepts myself. But then I also had to learn all the stuff that goes into like online marketing and how to build an online community and how to, really put yourself out there online. That's something that I never knew before. This isn't something I ever knew. I just, like sometimes we assume that young people know this kind of stuff. I'm not that young. I'm in my like 30s now, my mid 30s. I didn't know anything about like even social media, any of that kind of stuff. So I had to learn it all. And so as I was learning all this new stuff, not only was I learning like actually new concepts and whatever, what I was ultimately doing was I was pushing past my fears out of my comfort zone even more. So when you take a break from alcohol, ultimately that is the biggest, biggest, biggest way that you are getting out of your comfort zone and pushing past a fear. Because we all have fears that what if I'm not like fun anymore without alcohol, or what if I'm always deprived, or what if I can't do it, or whatever. We all have these subconscious fears around it. And then you decide to trust your faith more than your fear, and you just go for it, right? And you prove to yourself that it's amazing and that you really do love yourself more. And so that's an example of how we feel more fulfilled when we leave our comfort zone and face our fear and do it anyway. And so as I was growing myself, I was facing my fears like every single day. I mean, like I'm a very introverted person. I've always been a very private person. And all of a sudden, here I am doing these live videos and talking on Instagram and sharing this stuff where my parents and my friends from high school could see. And all these things were radically pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. So in one way, I have been able to maintain such a level of happiness because I'm constantly growing myself. And today, while I have overcome and surpassed some of the things that I initially had to learn or the things I initially had to do to get out of my comfort zone and that I feared, there's new stuff. There's always new stuff and new ways I'm pushing myself and growing myself and new things that I'm trying for my business and for my brand and for my life. And so personal growth to me is the biggest answer to how to maintain happiness. Because personal growth not only forces you to like heal, to really introspect into yourself, but to then actually take action on what you're learning and what you're intuiting from yourself. So if from you doing personal growth and introspection is starting to tell you like, oh my gosh, Danielle, you should really write a book. Like you've always wanted to be a writer. You have this great story. You have this great, information that the world needs. And you start to finally listen to that intuition. And so this goal starts to take on its own life. It starts to really drive you and feed you. And all of the past ways that maybe you've thought about doing something crazy like that used to like really, you would just brush it away and be like, no way, I can't write a book. That's not me. I don't know how. All the limiting beliefs you have, just the fact that you've taken a break from alcohol has shown you that you can. You fundamentally can do way more than you ever thought was possible. Way, way more than you ever thought was possible. So you start to like really start dreaming up these deeper, deeper goals and dreams for yourself, and you get the confidence and the bravery to go after them. Even if you're still scared. I'm still scared all the time, with new, like, what do they say? New level, new devil, right? Like there's new things I have to face all the time that still drive me to feel fear, but I feel the fear and do it anyway. Because I've learned that that's where ultimate fulfillment lies, right? So it's constant growth, personal growth. It's really discovering what you really want out of life and starting to have the bravery to go after it. That is going to help you have a certain level of happiness because you're not stuck, you're not unfulfilled, you're really going for it. And then I think the third thing is really being super intentional about bringing more joy into your life. Like literally bringing more pleasure and things that make you feel good. And it's so interesting because I like radically changed my happiness levels when I took a break from alcohol, and I became so happy my first year alcohol free, right? It was the best year ever. And then obviously, like I said, the pink cloud kind of wanes, the newness starts to become familiar. And so like I did feel that kind of plateau feeling. And so I kind of thought, actually, I really thought that the year that I took a break from alcohol, I mean, I quit drinking for good, I'm alcohol free, but I like to say took a break from alcohol because that's what started it all, is one of the best years of my life. And I thought it would be the best year of my life. I didn't think any other year would be able to compare to that because of just the intensity of it, how amazing it was. And lo and behold, last year, I mean, this year is just started, so I'm not gonna like, use this year and count this year, but last year was one of the best years of my life. And that was already my third year alcohol free. And I just am so amazed by that because how is it possible that like my happiness could keep growing? And what really happened last year was not only did I keep personally growing, not only did I face my fears and get out of my comfort zone continually, not only did I keep growing myself, but I also started becoming so much more intentional about bringing joy into my life. What does that mean? So, like, there are certain things that make us happy. There are certain pleasures in our life that make us feel good. And it's not like things can buy happiness but for example, if, like, laughing with your friend is one of the best feelings in the world, then why aren't we scheduling more time to hang out with this said friend and laughing with her, right? So this is like an example of ways we can bring in more happiness into our lives. If like going and getting a pedicure or a massage is just one of the most ultimate pleasures to you, then why aren't we regularly doing that? If doing even stuff like reading spiritual books or meditating or watching the sunset, I mean, these things don't even have to cost money, right? Like just watching the sunset will snap me out of any funk, will snap me out of any kind of sleepwalking I was doing that day and worrying about my to-dos, and really, really get me like in connection with not only myself, but the universe around me. So watching the sunset, watching the sunrise, being really in tune also with like the moon. Like I love now to really honor the new moon and the full moon every month. So I will do like new moon and full moon journaling kind of ceremonies and exercises. And to me, that ritual just feels so good. Like I'm honoring not only the natural world, but what it means to me and my growth that year. So, like, literally, you could make a list of the 20 things that just make you feel good every day and start to become intentional about bringing more of those into your day. So if having fresh flowers in your house literally like brightens up your smile and makes you feel better and makes you feel super joyous and stuff, then go get the flowers. Go get the flowers and have them in your house. And I think, like coming from our very like Puritan hard work ethic background in America, we have this culture that says that we don't deserve nice things, that we should not frivolously be spending money on nice things, and that we should just like really do things that are selfless all the time and just double down on working harder and being better and being there for everyone. And the thing that we don't realize is that when we make ourselves feel good, when we like give ourselves a little pleasure, we literally become the best version of ourselves in all these other areas in life. So if the point is to literally like make more money, have more money, whatever, and you're thinking, okay, but if I spend money on flowers, then I won't be able to have more money because I'm spending it on this frivolous thing. But if the flowers make you so much happier and make you like be able to call more clients that day or do more calls or whatever it is that you do in your job to make money, like you get to be a more effective person. And I've seen that happen. I've seen clients get promotions because they're focusing on their happiness, and I've seen clients launch their own businesses and scale their own businesses. Like us being happy and joyful is the most effective thing we could possibly do to have more success in our lives. So it's worth it. The flowers are worth it. The pedicure is worth it. Like maybe getting a like green smoothie or whatever it makes you feel happy in that moment is worth it. And again, like I said, you don't have to buy all of these things. They could be other things like taking a really nice hot bath is like just one of like the most pleasurable things you could do. Schedule that into your calendar. Make sure it happens at least like once a week. Going and watching the sunset, going and watching the sunrise, taking a walk in nature, like really unplugged, going on a drive along the coast or a drive anywhere beautiful where you live. Like just take an hour on a Saturday and go on a drive and listen to beautiful music and feel like your soul like there with you. Read spiritual books. Like there's so many ways that we can include joy into our lives. Get back into something that you loved to do as a kid, you know? Like go get those rollerblades or go start painting again or whatever you like doing as a kid. So I think this question of how do I measure happiness? It comes from this threefold kind of prongs. Is like I'm always growing myself. I'm always pushing myself out of my comfort. I mean, not always, but for the most part, I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone and go for the next level of facing my fears and going for what I really, really want in this world. And the third is imbuing my life with more joy, with just crazy because I thought the happiest I would ever be would be the first few weeks off alcohol because it was just such a stark difference. You know what I mean? And so as you keep growing yourself, new passions are going to keep coming up for you, whether they're hobbies or maybe like a new pursuit, like actually launching a business or writing a book or I don't know, getting certified as a yoga teacher, like something cool like that. Stuff like that's going to come up for you. And when you hear that voice of intuition telling you, like, oh, it'd be really cool to start painting again, or it'd be really cool to start going to this writing workshop, or it'd be really cool to XYZ, I want you to listen to it because that is like the deepest, most wisest voice in front of you. And you have no idea how doing that experience will like move you forward in a life of your dreams. Sometimes we get these intuitive gut measures, like messages, and we don't listen to them because we think that they will not ever end up making us successful. So for example, imagine that like something inside of you is like, I really want to get back into photography or I really want to take photograph lessons. And you're like, okay, well that's silly. Like I'm not going to become a professional photographer. Who would ever pay me for that? So you just stop before you even start. You don't even let yourself enjoy that hobby and get into it. But imagine you do. Imagine you actually start taking up photography and you go to like the class at your local community college and you get a camera off Craigslist and you just start taking pictures of things that you find beautiful. Okay, maybe chances are, yeah, probably like a majority of chances are that you probably won't become a professional photographer, but if you do, that's awesome. That's really cool. But what if like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you decide to launch your own business. And part of your business is taking, like, having beautiful photos of your product or your service. And so now the skill that you picked up because you listened to your intuition is actually serving your deeper calling because having an eye for photography and beautiful pictures is actually really important for your business. I mean, every business needs to rely on a brand, and a brand is visual, right? You know what I mean? We have no idea where our passions and our hobbies and our interests will take us. So we need to listen to them. So, like I said, always be growing yourself. Always be like, yeah, I'm personally always working with a coach. I'm personally always taking a course. I always have like 5 personal development books on my bookshelf. I take it to the extreme. I'm not saying you have to do that, but taking a course or working with a coach or reading books or listening to podcasts from people who like you can't even relate to because they're so happy and successful. The more that we learn from people who are super happy and successful, the more that we start to adopt their mindset. There's this saying that Tony Robbins says, and that success leaves clues. Success leaves clues because like we to be successful, we have to start thinking how successful people think. Does that make sense? To be happy, we have to start thinking how happy people think. And we won't know how happy people think unless we're reading their material or watching their videos or in their courses or in their like coaching program. So that is really important. And like I said, it can be even just books or podcasts you're listening to or YouTube videos that you're watching, right? Grow yourself. Second is getting out of your comfort zone and going after the things you really want in your life. So when you start getting these messages from your intuition that it would be really cool if you could maybe start writing a book or launching a business or getting certified as a yoga teacher or whatever it is, listen to that. Drop all of the fears, drop all the limiting beliefs that say you can't and just listen to it. It is a message from like the divine higher self inside of you. And thirdly, imbue your life with more joy. Like make a list right now of 20 things that make you feel happy. Cuddling your dog, watching the sunset, having a beautiful tea. Like they're simple, simple things, and yet they make a huge difference in our day. And when we are happiest in our days, we are actually more effective and more like better able to serve other people and bring more love into other people. It's for some reason thought of as super selfish to like take care of yourself and to like please yourself and to honor your desires in our society. And it's silly because we can't then serve people, help people, be the like super moms that we want to be if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not first listening to our own desires and meeting them. Because when we meet them for ourselves, then we're more effective and actually can help other people instead of always being drained, depleted, and like in a funk, right? So, those are my kind of three principles for happiness. That's how I measure happiness. I literally cannot, like, I would never have believed myself if I would have told myself I could become happier because I thought that the initial pink cloud that I got from taking a break from alcohol was like the best it was ever going to be. No way. No way, right? Like that was cool. That was a really cool phenomenon, right? Because like your brain just goes through so many changes at once, but it can keep getting better and better if you choose to. And it's not necessarily like it's not going with the flow. It's not just being stuck in inertia and seeing what happens. You have to take action. You have to start listening to your intuition and your gut in all the different ways it tells you to do. When it tells you to learn more and grow yourself, when it tells you to get out of your comfort zone and go ask someone really important for like a favor or to talk to them or whatever, like do the things that scare you. Listen to your intuitive hunches on like new goals and new passions in your life and imbue your life with more joy, more pleasures, more meeting of your desires. You deserve to have your desires met. You know, I mean, like you deserve to mother yourself and take care of yourself. You are worthy and your desires aren't wrong. And I think remembering that and honoring yourself and your growth is just super important. So I hope that was super helpful. Again, I'm live here in a beautiful cabin in Idlewild. This is me honoring my desires. Like I've always dreamed of like just going, have you ever read those books where people like, I wrote this book in a cabin, because I escaped like my like family or work or whatever it was so that I could be in nature and really create my art. I've always been super jealous of those kind of people. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. And sometimes your jealousy is a great, great metric for what you really want in your life. So, being able to kind of fulfill that dream of escaping to the woods and working from the woods and just having a beautiful experience in nature, that's me meeting my own desires. And someone could call it like selfish or, oh, that must be nice for you. But like you have to be able to design your life to go for these kinds of things. You have to believe it's possible for you. And maybe it's not possible for you now in this present moment, but you have to believe that it's going to be possible for you because you're going to keep working on your growth, your happiness, and your success and your wealth, all those things together. So I believe in you. I believe anything is possible for you. And I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.